So I'm here with Joshua Stoneking and Chris Luna. That's how you say it, right?
Yes, sir.
Chris Luna. So, you guys, Furman Hellas. We'll start with you, though, Chris. You are facing in practice every day, Josh. And Josh, you're facing Chris in practice every day. What is it about the culture of the Furman team that allows y'all to not only compete against each other, but get better every day?
I'll definitely say going against Josh every day has made me 100% better. That's one thing that the Furman culture prioritizes on, making each other better. Iron sharpens iron. So me and Josh, when we go on the field, we know what's up. Talk a little smack. But we all know we're brothers at the end of the day off the field. So it's been really good.
Yeah, we get into it during practice and stuff, but every time we get in the locker room, we hug it out and stuff, so we know it doesn't leave the field. That's probably the big part of our culture this year is we'll talk crap on the field, but we know we're brothers at the end of the day. So.
Hey, if you can't talk crap to your brother, is he really your brother?
Yeah,
100%. Yeah, and then you want Josh or Joshua?
Either one, whatever comes out's fine.
All right, we'll go with Josh for this one. All right. So last year you were first in the FCS with 14.5 sacks, first in the FCS with 23 tackles for loss, only number 2 in Buck Buchanan Award voting. After a season like that and only finishing second, is there a chip on your shoulder entering this year?
100%. Definitely was disappointed that I lost that, but Zach was a good player. He deserved it too, so definitely chip on my shoulder to go win it this year.
Do you feel any added pressure this season after performing at such a high level last year?
No, I mean, football's just a game. Just got to go out there, have fun. Get to play with my brothers, all my best friends. So it's just a game at the end of the day.
Hey, Chris, are you playing center again this year?
Yes, sir.
All right, so as a center, how do you help lead the offense? I used to play with a center. He used to say, he had the best hands on the team because he touched the ball every play.
Every play, yeah.
So how are you helping lead the offense, especially when, you get into a situation like you have this year and, you don't necessarily have a returning starter at quarterback?
Just adjusting and adapting to any situation that's going on in the game. One of our strength coaches said the tip of the spear has to be sharp, and the center's always the tip of the spear. So I think, just carrying a leadership role and picking up my brothers when they're down and making sure that, we're going to be tough-minded and fight through any adversity we got. So, yeah.
So how do you guys build upon last season entering this year? Of course, they say, clean slate every year, new season, what you did last year doesn't matter. But how do you guys take, you got to take some things and, add on and build. So how do you guys build upon it?
I think just, practicing better. Last year we would come out, have a couple good practices, and then it would be kind of a down practice. So, but I think that comes with being more mature, and I think we have grown together throughout the spring, added some pieces that we needed, and grown together as brothers, and I think that's going to help a lot with our practices and then going into games with some energy.
100% piggyback off what Josh said, having contagious energy and, bringing people up, young guys especially, letting them know the culture and the standard within Furman. So I think that's going to carry a lot into this season coming forward.
For sure. And as we approach this upcoming season, it's a new year, but I want y'all to describe how you guys are approaching it with one word. So one word each. How do you describe this team entering this year?
Physical.
I have to say detail-oriented. I know that's kind of 2 words.
Put a hyphen. It counts.
Hyphen, yeah. Detail-oriented for sure. Got to follow the details, and the little things always matter in every single game. So just harping on that.
Yeah, detail. There's a hyphen. It's not like you Charles Barkley, Chris Paul and Steve Nash.
Yeah.
That counts. That counts. So you got detail-oriented and physical. All right, y'all linemen, so you play center, so you got to have the details under center, and D-line, you got to be physical.
Yeah.
You got to set the edge, you got to hit the quarterback. So I'm looking forward to seeing y'all both do both of those things this upcoming year.
Yep.
And best of luck to y'all.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate you.
I'm here now with Coach Clay Hendrix of Furman. Coach, last time I talked to you was a couple years ago. Last time I thought you didn't have a player like I just talked to, Josh Stoneking. Unquestionably the best returning defensive player in the FCS. What's it like having a game changer that you can count on this fall?
Well, it certainly helps. I've been asked a few times in the last 2 days, how'd you get him to come back? It really wasn't probably as challenging as some people thought, but oh yeah, certainly. Even a year ago, you think of the number of times he just continued to show up. It's not like people didn't know about him. and highly productive. I think probably to me the thing, I was an old offensive line coach, and I think the thing probably about him, you see his numbers as rushing the passer and TFLs, but how many tackles he made? He actually led us in tackles.
Yeah,
you think about it as a down lineman that does that. So, just really, really productive, really good leader. Excited to watch him play this year.
With tackles, that's a lot about pursuit, a lot about effort. So obviously that stems from the top. How do you, project that down to the team?
Well, I think that's pretty. He's one of those guys that say, "Well, do it like he does it," And I think for him, it starts, his preparation, how he practices. We were sitting here a year ago, and somebody asked me, I guess after the season, he said, "Well, Coach, did you see that coming?" I said, "Well, I nominated him last year for all conference. He didn't get many votes. The year before, he'd missed the last 4 games with a sickness." But I said I'd seen it in practice. I knew he was explosive. He was good against the run and against the pass. A lot of times pass rushers are maybe just pass rushers. And certainly some people try to run away from him. But again, just finds a way to continue to be productive.
And then on the other side of the ball, you'll be replacing a quarterback to the transfer portal. So what's the process been like replacing him?
Well, I think for us, when it all started, I think even before he maybe left, we kind of felt like we had to change a little bit of who we were in that room, meaning just skill set. We had to find some mobility at that position, and which we didn't have really any last year. And we were we were a throw the football first team, which I don't really want to be. But when you don't have the mobility at that position, it really affects you in lots of ways. Affects you up front, affects the run game. So I think that was already in the works. And then, so we've had an opportunity to completely reset the room. And, we don't have a lot of transfers, but we took a December transfer. Had been a D2 freshman of the year in a league, and then we had a kid, Jake Garcia, right at the start of the summer. They originally started at Miami, and I think that we've got a 4th-year guy in our program that's still there, and then the new guys we added, we had a couple other guys we had signed. So I think the skill set is more what we're looking to get out of that room, and we've changed a lot of things. So I think there's stuff that will help us.
Yeah, and of course you got to change. You got to be able to adapt. You've been coaching 10 years now at Furman.
Yeah, well, 10 years as the head coach.
Yeah, so 10 years as a head coach, you got to adapt a lot. I'm thinking 10 years ago, that was a whole different time, whole different style of football, whole different things to deal with. So in those 10 years, though, you've had good seasons, you've had bad seasons, you've had average seasons. What can we look forward to this season?
Well, I think each season's a little different. I really like this football team. I think, one thing, the biggest thing we've got, we have offensively, we've turned the ball over far too much. And at the quarterback position, the last 2 seasons, I thought we lost 4 games a year ago, largely just because we turned the ball over. So I think it starts there. Any good team's going to take care of the ball. But you address what you feel like your weaknesses are, which I think we have. I don't feel, we're an older football team, got more depth. I think we have more explosive type players than we've had. We're really good teams in 22-23, and I think we're close to being back there again. And again, I think it starts with the quarterback play. And then, we got to continue to be better defensively. I think we're significantly better at corner, which I think helps your defensive line when they can cover a little better. So I like where we are. I like the offseason we've had. Maybe it's a good offseason we've had in any of those 10 years. And, now it's starting next week and having a great August.
Yeah, next week starts fall camp, summer camp, whatever you want to call it. But I do need you to call one thing, which is a one-word answer to describe how this team is entering this year.
Confident.
Confident.
I think we've got a confident group, and being older, few guys we've added. I think when you prepare well, you have confidence. I don't care if you're taking a test. Football season's a test, so I think they have a lot of confidence in their teammates, had good leadership. So I think they're a confident group coming into the fall.
All right, Coach. Well, hopefully this confidence pays off for you guys as it goes through the rest of the season. And you guys play week 0, right?
We do. We have
All
that
right.
Thursday night. So, yeah.
Thursday night, one of the first games of the FCS season. You get to see Furman play. So, Coach, thank you, and best of luck this season.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right.
Okay.